Welcome to the first video in the series Learning to Fly, guiding young learners towards independence. Because it's the first day, we're going to take things easy. One of the hardest things when we want to make changes to our classroom practice is the mental side of things. The first step always needs to be a change inside ourselves rather than a change directly in the classroom. So in today's video, we're going to prepare ourselves mentally and also prepare our students for the change that we'll be making. Are you ready to start? Let's go. Let's explore our mindset first of all. I want you to think about your answers to these questions. How comfortable are you with the following on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being very uncomfortable and 5 being extremely comfortable? Giving students a choice of activities to do. Allowing students to choose which questions to answer. Having a group of students plan and lead a lesson or activity. Giving students tasks to complete in groups. And letting students create the classroom rules. Agency and autonomy are often overlooked in the young learner classroom, especially in primary, but they're really important for engagement. This all comes back to self-determination theory. Autonomy is one of the 3 key elements of self-determination theory, along with competence and relatedness. When students have all 3 of these needs met, they're much more likely to be motivated and engaged. We need to foster a sense of control and choice in our students by giving them opportunities to make decisions in the classroom. However, this doesn't mean just letting them fly, despite the name of this series. In order to let them fly, we need to provide the right conditions. We'll be gradually giving students more control and choices as we go through this series. The first step is to create a supportive atmosphere in the classroom where students feel that they can confidently make good decisions. Your first task is to reflect on your students' current level of autonomy. What choices do you give them? What decisions are they allowed or encouraged to make? How often do they get to work independently, either individually or in pairs or in groups? How do you think they feel about the amount of responsibility they have? What would happen if you allowed them more say about their learning? And what could you allow them to decide? Pause the video now and spend a couple of minutes thinking about your initial responses to these questions. You might find it helpful to write them down. There are lots of simple ways in which we can allow students to make decisions in the classroom. For example, what to do, how to do it, and who to do it with. Finally, think about the message you're giving when you don't allow students any say in what happens in the classroom. It's like you're saying, English belongs to me and I make all the decisions. You need me to learn English. This is my classroom, not yours, and I don't trust you to make good decisions. Now, you don't need to make drastic changes. You can start with small baby steps, and by the end of this series you'll see how your students are much more motivated and engaged. So now it's time for me to share a classroom activity that you can do with your students. The aim of this activity is to get students thinking about decision making. How much do they get to do in their lives and how do they feel about it? It's called Step Forward, Step Back. You have students stand up. This activity is best played in a large space so that students can move freely. However, if you don't have space, you could just have students stand up or sit down. You're going to call out a list of actions. Students need to think about who decided this. Did they decide, or did someone else decide for them? If it was their decision, they take a step forward. If it was made by somebody else, they take a step back. Here are some sentences that you can use. What you ate for breakfast. What socks you're wearing. Which game you played at break time. Who you played with. What activities you did in class. And who you worked with. If you're playing in an open space, invite students to look at their position. Are they nearer the front or the back? Then discuss each one and ask these questions. How do you feel about this? Is it something you can decide? And would you like to decide this for yourself? Then ask, which ones can we change at school and how? Tell students that the next lesson you'll be giving them their first classroom decision to make and ask them how do they feel about that. Finally, my quick tip for this video is to prepare students for any changes. No surprises. Sudden surprises can have the opposite effect and can make some students feel uncomfortable and stressed. Before making a new change, tell students, if possible, in the previous lesson, and even better, ask them how they feel about it. Thank you for watching Learning to Fly, and I'll see you next week.